begin. So hello everyone, welcome to this inaugural session of AMMCO webinar series. So AMMCO webinar series is a monthly webinar organized by AMMCO to share their work and brainstorm with stakeholders and the general public. So in this inaugural session, the key speaker, Dr. Agustin Takukamkamla, will give us the presentation on AMMCO'S mission and strategies regarding the conservation of Cameroon aquatic megafauna. So please, during the presentation, you can post your question in the chat box. And if you want to interact vocally, you can just raise your hand and we'll give you the floor. Just wanted you to consider that we are recording this session as we are also streaming this session on our social media pages. So before I hand the floor to Agustin, I would just like to give a brief introduction of him. So I would say he's a senior marine biologist. He is the president and founder of AMMCO, and he obtained his bachelor and master's degree in wildlife ecology at the University of Chang. Then he obtained a Fulbright scholarship to follow his doctoral studies at the University of Florida. So he helped his PhD in 2019. And he has been conducting several conservation projects and mentoring and training future marine scientists. So, Dr. Agustin Takukamkamla, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. Hold on one second. Thank you very much, Clinton, and thank you for this wonderful introduction. Before I start, do you give me the access to share my screen, because I cannot share my screen, so I need the access, please. It should be good now. Let me try again. Okay, excellent. Thank you very much. Okay, can you guys hear me perfectly?
Yeah, perfectly.
Excellent.
Yep.
Hello, everyone. Again, thank you very much for coming to our very first webinar at AMMCO. And today I'm going to present about AMMCO conservation work, mission, and strategies. And because Cameroon is bilingual and that we are reaching a bilingual audience, sometimes I will have to you bear with me, and I will have to translate some of the terms or summarize in French so that everybody can at least go back with a little bit of information about the work that we are doing. So again, thank you for joining this webinar, and then let's start. So we want to talk about the megafauna, aquatic megafauna, and probably some of you will ask yourself, what is an aquatic megafauna? So these are animals that are bigger than 40 kilograms and that lives in the water. And some of those, among those species, we can list those that we find in Cameroon. We can list the African manatee, which is my favorite wildlife species. I've been working on this species for more than 10 years now. And also we can list the Atlantic humpback dolphin, many species of dolphins, whales, sea turtles, shark and rays. Donc, quand on parle de la mégafaune aquatique, il s'agit principalement des espèces qui ont un poids supérieur à 40 kg et qui vivent dans l'eau. Et parmi lesquelles on peut citer la montagne d'Afrique, l'espèce que j'aime beaucoup, et les dauphins, les baleines, les requins et les raies. Alors, parlons de AMMCO. Qu'est-ce que c'est qu'AMMCO? Donc, AMMCO, c'est une organisation qui est dédiée à la protection de ces mammifères, de cette mégafaune aquatique-là. Et c'est une organisation qui a été créée en mai 2004 et qui a près de 20 personnes, 20 membres staff aujourd'hui. So AMMCO'S is an organization that was founded in 2014, based in Cameroon, with the goal of protecting this aquatic megafauna that I just mentioned. So, and as I said, we found AMMCO'S only mostly along the coast of Cameroon, and very soon we're considering extending our actions in the Gulf of Guinea. Not creating other AMMCO organizations there, but working with in collaboration with other organizations that are present there to support their work or work collaboratively. Donc, comme je le disais, AMMCO travaille tout le long de la côte camerounaise, qui est une côte long de près de 400 km. Et aussi, nous comptons étendre nos actions au niveau du Golfe de Guinée, pas pour créer des structures de AMMCO là-bas, mais travailler avec des organisations existantes, donc pour renforcer les capacités ou alors travailler de façon collaborative. Alors, the vision of AMMCO is to have an Africa where where marine wildlife or aquatic wildlife live in perfect harmony with the environment, while taking in consideration the best interest of the local community. Et donc en français, cela est déjà écrit. Et donc, je ne vais pas retraduire cela. Donc, our mission is to contribute to the protection of the aquatic megafauna and their habitat in Cameroon, in Central Africa, and developed a synergy to improve the scientific knowledge of those species and improving the livelihood of the local community, and also support the implementation of the law. So what are the reasons that push us to create AMMCO? So AMMCO was created based on certain threats that when I was doing my master, I went to Lake Osa, and then I was going there to study the African manatee, and I was shocked to see how much the species were, hunted and being sold in a restaurant there. And at the same time, I realized that there were no organization working to protect this species. So it's at that moment that I said it will be very important to have, at least after my master, to have an organization that will support the protection of the species. And the idea was also to have an institution where students who want to work on the manatee could have like an infrastructure or an institution where they could refer to, rather than referring to me as an individual. So that's one of the main reasons why AMMCO was founded. So la raison pour laquelle AMMCO a été créé, c'était à cause des menaces qui pesaient sur ces espèces, principalement sur la montagne d'Afrique. Parce que lorsque je faisais mon master au niveau de ma recherche de master au niveau du lac Osa, je me suis rendu compte que cette espèce était gravement chassée, braconnée, et malheureusement il n'y avait pas d'organisation présente qui travaillait pour la protection de cette espèce. C'est alors que j'ai décidé de mettre en place AMMCO, n'est-ce pas, non seulement pour soutenir leur protection, mais aussi pour permettre d'encadrer les futurs chercheurs, les étudiants qui voulaient travailler dans ce domaine-là. So amongst the other threats that those species faces, we can mention IUU fishing. So IUU is just illegal, unreported and undocumented fishing, which is really having a huge impact on the aquatic megafauna. Donc on peut aussi parler de la pêche INN qui impacte aussi ces espèces. And we can also talk about pollution. As you can see, when you go to Limbe on the down beach, there's tons of plastic that you find on the beach, and this is just the tip of the iceberg of what you will find inside the sea. Recently, I made my first dive in the waters of Cameroon. Unfortunately, the first thing that I saw when I dove was plastic. I saw plastic before I even saw a fish, which really shows that our environment is getting more and more polluted. And on many occasions, we have the necropsy sea turtles and found out that they had a lot of plastic in their stomach, which is a really serious problem. Donc le plastique, c'est une menace très importante et comme vous le voyez sur nos plages ici à Limbé, et ce n'est qu'une petite portion de ce que vous allez trouver dans la mer. Et d'ailleurs, lors de ma première plongée dans les eaux du Cameroun, j'ai vu des déchets plastiques même avant de voir le poisson. Et plusieurs fois, lorsqu'on a fait la nécropsie des tortues marines, lorsqu'on a disséqué les tortues marines qui avaient échoué sur nos plages, on s'est rendu compte qu'ils ont beaucoup de plastique dans l'estomac, dans les intestins, donc ce qui montre la gravité de la situation. D'autres menaces, ce sont des captures accidentelles, n'est-ce pas, que ce soit pas des pêcheries artisanales ou des pêcheries industrielles. Et je tiens à noter que si on a une idée un peu de ce qui se passe au niveau des pêcheries artisanales, on n'a pas une trop grande visibilité au niveau des pêcheries industrielles puisque c'est encore un monde très fermé au niveau du Cameroun. So accidental catch in fishing net represent another important threat to these species, either on the artisanal or industrial fishing. If we were able to document bycatch in the artisanal fisheries, it's still very difficult to access this information in the industrial fishery because it's still a very close environment in Cameroon. So another issues that we wanted to address creating AMMCO was the fact that there is only very few research on these species. Aquatic megafauna, especially the African manatee, are poorly known. We know very little about those animals. In fact, even by the time I was starting my master's degree, I could count maybe less than 3 publications on the African manatee in Cameroon, and these were just very synoptic or research. And there were very few marine conservationists or manatee conservationists in the country. Now this number is kind of increasing, but it's still very low. Donc, on a vraiment un sérieux problème en termes de connaissances sur la mégafaune marine au Cameroun parce qu'il n'y a pas beaucoup de chercheurs qui travaillent sur cette espèce. Déjà, quand je commençais, il y avait très peu de chercheurs, on pouvait les compter du bout du doigt. Maintenant, ce nombre augmente, mais reste encore très faible pour pouvoir, n'est-ce pas, couvrir les besoins en connaissances scientifiques sur ces espèces-là. Alors, pour pouvoir, the strategies that we've put in place in order to resolve some of those problems, or to solve some of those problems are the following. We have like 4 strategies at AMMCO. So the first one is the development of synergy in between the different actors implicated in the marine and coastal ecosystem. So the idea here is to bring together those different stakeholders on the same table so that we can have the same language. We avoid duplicating efforts. We have like a common research protocol or some sample protocol so that the data can be comparable. We can have large pictures of the work that is being done, and it's also important to know that marine conservation is a multidisciplinary work. It's not just about biology. It's not so we have to sometimes go talk to physician, we have to talk to botanists, we have to talk to oceanographers, and so it's really multidisciplinary, and it must involve multi-stakeholders, the local community, the government, university, researcher, and even the private sector. So it's only together that we'll be able to like tackle some of those problems that I mentioned earlier. So the other strategy is the improvement of the knowledge on the marine megafauna. As I said, these species are poorly known, especially in Cameroon, because of this lack of scientists, well-trained scientists. I will not say lack, but insufficient. And one of our strategy is to not only to collecting data on those species, but also building the capacity of the younger generation or emerging researcher locally and even abroad from different other countries. And thirdly, is to reduce the economic vulnerability of the local community living around the area where we are protecting those species. The reason we're doing this is because we realize that some of the local community, they don't just hunt or poach those species for fun. They do it because probably they're lacking protein resources, or they don't have enough money to go and buy chicken or to go and buy, domestic proteins. So that's why we thought that it was very important to, to improve the livelihood of those local communities so that they will be less dependent on marine wildlife. And lastly is to our strategy is also to make an advocacy for the application of the law and even law reform. So, because what we realize is that there's a lot of sometimes poaching going on, but nothing is being done to stop it. And in fact, and there is a law protecting the species. I'll take the example of the African manatees. We have been documenting this year more than 8 manatees that has been killed and sold openly in markets around Douala, but yet there is a law protecting this species. So, and our role is to also work in collaboration with the government in charge of the protection of those species, so that they could do their work of arresting the people who are perpetrating this illegal act. But it's also about reforming laws that are not adequate for the protection of the species. I'm talking, for example, about the law on fisheries, on which we are working now with the Ministry of Fishery to improve the Cameroon fishery law so that it will meet the international standards of fishery governance and transparency. So with that said, let me just talk about some of the achievements that we have done so far. Donc, je vais parler de quelques réalisations de AMMCO. So the first one that I will mention is the SIREN, Citizen Science. So SIREN is it's a network of fishermen and other mobile app users that use SIREN, which is the mobile app that we created. So it was really something that was developed at AMMCO to help fishermen to document opportunistic sightings of marine wildlife. Because when I was doing my master, what was funny is that I was oriented by fishermen. I realized how much these guys they have a lot of knowledge that we scientists, we don't have. Why? Because most of the time we spend most of our time in the office, not because we like the office, but sometimes because we don't have enough funding to be on the field all the time. But for those fishermen, this is their work. They are on the water to fish, and while they are fishing, they sing a lot of things. So I thought that it would be very important for me to capitalize their knowledge through a mobile app that they will record each time they see a manatee, a dolphin, or a shark, and raise and upload it in our database. And today we have a database of more than 90,000 observations collected by around 80 fishermen along the coast of Cameroon. Donc ici, là, je parle de l'application Sirène, qui est une application que nous avons développée à AMMCO pour aider les pêcheurs à documenter les observations opportunistes de la mégafaune aquatique. Et ça, c'est parce que j'ai sur le constat de ce que ces gars, ils sont constamment en contact avec les espèces que nous voulons protéger. Ils sont plus en contact avec ces espèces-là que nous, les scientifiques, qui n'avons pas toujours les moyens pour être dans l'eau tout le temps. Donc, et voilà, et grâce à cette action, nous avons eu des pêcheurs qui ont déjà collecté près de 19 000 observations de mégafaune, de la faune aquatique, et près de 80 pêcheurs ont contribué à la quantité de ces données-là. Et il y a une nouvelle application, Sirène de sommet a une nouvelle interface, une nouvelle application même qui est plus performante, plus fluide et avec des graphiques beaucoup plus, appealing, beaucoup plus attractifs. Alors, comme auto-réalisation, toujours à travers cette application Sirène, nous avons pu documenter 13 espèces de mammifères marins, dont le dauphin à bosse, qui est une espèce menacée aussi, surtout par les captures accidentelles. So we have been able to document through Sirens and other surveys that both surveys that we have done along the coast, Cameroon coast. We have documented the 13 species of marine mammals, including the critically endangered Atlantic humpback dolphin. And we also do a lot of carcass recovery along the coast of Cameroon. So, and this is a humpback whale. You can see one of our staff, Sigrid, who's taking some measurement and collecting tissues for genetic analysis. Donc, nous faisons aussi la nécropsie des carcasses des mammifères marins ou bien de la mégafaune aquatique qui est échouée sur la côte. Alors, c'est important de noter que grâce aux données que nous avons collectées à partir des sirènes, nous avons pu plaider pour que les espèces des mammifères marins que nous retrouvons sur la côte camerounaise puissent être protégées par la loi. Donc, c'est un extrait de la loi que vous voyez là en capture d'écran et souligné en jaune. So we've been able to use the data to advocate for the protection of all species of aquatic megafauna. Before it was only the African manatee that was listed, but now we have 5 species protected. We are not talking about shark and rays. So, initially when we started AMMCO, shark and ray were not our priority until the data that was generated through Siren showed us that, hey, these species are the ones who are in highest need of protection, because most of the species that were reported through Sirens were shark and rays. And we have documented through Siren for about 41 species of shark and ray, and amongst them 11 species are critically endangered. And so far we've documented over 4,600 individuals along the coast of Cameroon. So it shows that these species really need our conservation attention. Otherwise, we might lose some of them before we even study them. Donc, au départ de AMMCO, les requins, les rennes ne faisaient pas partie de nos priorités jusqu'à ce que les informations qu'on recevait des sirènes ont montré que c'était le taxa le plus ciblé, n'est-ce pas, en termes de bycatch. Et on a pu documenter près de 41 espèces de requins et de raies, parmi lesquelles 11 sont en danger critique d'extinction. Et cela nous a donc amené à comprendre qu'il fallait faire quelque chose pour la protection de ces espèces. Et aussi, grâce à ces pêcheurs-là, nous avons pu découvrir une espèce de raie qu'on appelle la raie pygmée. Au départ, on pensait que c'était Mabula rochebrini, mais les analyses génétiques que nous avons menées en collaboration avec notre partenaire Mantacros a montré que c'est beaucoup plus Hippostoma, mais qui reste toujours une espèce rare et qui est en danger. Donc, si ce n'était le travail des pêcheurs, on n'aurait pas documenté cette espèce. So, thanks to the work of fishermen through Siren, we've been able to document this species that we thought initially was Mobula rochebrini, but thanks to the collaboration we have with Mantacross, we were able to do some genetic analysis that proved that it was instead Mobula hippostoma, but still it's a very rare species that needs protection. Alors, Sirène, ça n'a pas que permis de collecter les données, mais ça a aussi permis de détecter des ambassadeurs, n'est-ce pas, de protection de tortues marines. Parce que ces pêcheurs qui sont embarqués dans cette aventure des sirènes, au départ, plusieurs d'entre eux, lorsqu'ils capturaient des tortues marine, ce qu'il faisait, c'est qu'il transformait cela en soupe, en bouillon, et voilà, et mangeait cela avec les familles. Mais lorsque le travail de sirène s'accompagne aussi avec la sensibilisation transformationnelle, et qui a permis comme ça à plein de pêcheurs de devenir, qui chassaient la tortue avant, de devenir plutôt des ambassadeurs qui protègent ces espèces-là. C'est le cas, par exemple, de Papa Mensa, un papa de la soixantaine au niveau de la plage de Batoke à Limbé, qui aujourd'hui est un grand défenseur des tortues marines, au point qu'il est prêt à courir après des braconniers de tortues marines pour les arracher la tortue et la relâcher dans l'eau. Donc, so through Siren is not only there for data collection, but it also have a transformative sensibilization and transformative sensibilization of our network, where we trying to inculcate to them this notion of conservation, of protection, and many of them were able to be transformed to become now advocates for the protection of those species. And this is the case of Papa Mensa, that were who used to poach sea turtle and their eggs, but today is one of the person who run after a poacher to arrest him and take him to the chief and release the turtle back into the sea. And then thanks to this, their action, we were able to protect more than 500 sea turtle eggs. Alors, l'autre succès qu'on peut parler, c'est le cas de la lutte contre le braconnage au niveau du lac Ossa. Je me rappelle lorsque je commençais mon travail au niveau de Dizangué, au lac Ossa, lorsque j'ai commencé mon master, c'était très fréquent de voir les lamentins qui étaient capturés, qui étaient chassés et ensuite vendus dans des restaurants. 10 ans plus tard, ça fait pratiquement 3 ans que je n'ai pas entendu qu'il y a eu braconnage dans ce lac. Et les restaurants, et il n'y a plus aucun restaurant qui, n'est-ce pas, qui fournit, qui sert de la viande de lamantin autour du lac Ossa. Donc, ce qui est un succès, pas seulement à l'actif de AMMCO, mais qui a été fait en collaboration avec le service de la conservation et avec même la ZSL qui travaillait là à l'époque. Donc, ce travail collaboratif à travers des sensibilisations, l'éducation environnementale, les activités génératrices de revenus, tout cela et la surveillance, ça a contribué, n'est-ce pas, à stopper, n'est-ce pas, le braconnage dans ce lac. So before I was doing my master in Lake Ossa, I used to see a lot of manatee poaching and capturing fishing net, and they were being sold in restaurants. And 10 years later, this is not happening anymore. No more restaurant is selling manatee meat around Lake Ossa, and I haven't heard about manatee killing or poaching in this lake for the past 3 years. And this is not just about AMMCO'S work, but it's a collaborative work of the Conservation Service of Lake Ossa, and even the action of the Zoological Society of London, who was working there, I think, in around 2016, 2018. And the other success that we can talk about is the fight against Salvinia molesta. Again, let me talk to you about what is Salvinia molesta. This is an invasive plant species that has recovered the lake, and it's floating. Floating is a fern that floats at the surface of the water. And then I think maybe here you can have a better picture of it. So these plants started invading the lake in 2016, 2017, and in 2021 it was covering more than 50% of the lake surface, and it has a 3-dimensional impact. It was impacting the manatees because we couldn't see any manatee anymore. It seems like they left to go into the different rivers or lakes. It was also impacting the local community, at the level of fisheries, because the fish has decreased and they couldn't even place their net in such an environment. And on top of that, he has changed the chemistry of the lake. So we had two possibilities. Although we were not botanists, we could say, okay, no, we're not going to do anything. We are marine biologists. This is not our problem. But because of this problem, nothing was working in the lake. The local community didn't want to follow any rules that was developed for this lake, and we could not see any manatee. So it became our mission to address this problem, to restore the lake so that we can keep protecting the African manatee. So what we did is to do the biological control, which was the first time this was being used in Cameroon to address these plants. It has been a lot of challenges, but the end of the story was glorious as we were able to introduce the weevil. The Salvinia weevil is an insect that fits specifically on this plant, and it was able to 2 years later to remove more than 70% of the Salvinia. As you could see on the picture, how Salvinia looked like in the lake in 2020 and how it looked like in the lake in 2022. Now in 2023, most of the lake, you won't even see the brown because it has already cleared out, and it's only 15 or 20% of the Salvinia which is remaining. And hopefully with the boat, a more adapted boat that we're going to use, we'll be able to spread the weevil in area that we don't have access now because of the thickness of the Salvinia. And not only Salvinia anymore, but it's also with these other plants that has been building on top of Salvinia. It's a search. We call it Lymphospora racemosa. So, donc, la lutte biologique, c'est un autre succès que nous avons eu au niveau du lac Ossa. Nous avons une plante qu'on appelle la Salvinia molesta qui a envahi le lac en 2016, couvrant près de 50% de la superficie du lac en 2021. La solution, c'était la lutte biologique à travers un insecte qu'on appelle Cytobagos salviniae. Et c'était pas chose facile parce que c'était la toute première fois avec la réticence gouvernementale et communautaire. Il fallait bien les convaincre. Mais l'histoire a été glorieuse parce qu'on a pu obtenir les autorisations, introduire les insectes et qui ont pu aujourd'hui réduire près de 70% de la Salvinia. Alors, pour aller plus rapidement maintenant, donc, so we were also able to identify hotspots of marine wildlife, through the use of underwater drone and also side scan sonar. And we documented also feeding site for sea turtles and also resting site, fishing, no, not fishing site, like hotspot for the fish also, and the nursery for shark and ray, and nesting ground for sea turtles. And we also initiated a project to fight against IUU fishing in collaboration with the Ministry of Fisheries and our partner organization, EDF, Environmental Justice Foundation, and all this with the support of Ocean 5. And this project is about reforming revising the fishery laws to make it meet the standards of international governance and transparency. And also the project is about support in also improving the system, the surveillance, so the monitoring, control, and surveillance system of the Ministry of Fishery. Donc ça, j'ai parlé de la pêche INN, donc nous accompagnons aussi à la pêche de lutte contre la pêche INN auprès du ministère de la Pêche. Et ce projet a pour but, n'est-ce pas, de renforcer, de réviser la loi de la pêche camerounaise pour qu'elle puisse répondre aux standards internationaux en termes de gouvernance et de transparence, et aussi renforcer les capacités de suivi, contrôle et surveillance du ministère de la Pêche. Alors, nous avons aussi un événement qu'on appelle le Street Whale. Okay, since this slide is in French, I will talk in English. So we have organized every year the Street Whale event, which is an event that combines art and science in order to raise awareness about protection of the ocean and its biodiversity. And we've been organizing these events since 2021. We have the 2022 edition and the 2023 edition that we did recently in June. And through this event, we are able to touch each year more than 100,000 people through conservation messages on the ocean and this biodiversity. And we also build like monuments that would inspire for the conservation of those species. As the one of the image you see on the background of a large whale that we constructed using plastic waste, and we do this in collaboration with artists. And also this event has been very helpful because it helped to make evaluate the state of the actions, the state of the knowledge in terms of research and conservation around the marine and coastal ecosystem. And also it was the opportunity to bring together the actors that are involved regionally for on the conservation of shark and rays. And so just to talk quickly about this, so this strictly the street whale was also a way to put the different actors together. And we were even able to create the first Cameroon network for the management of coastal and marine ecosystem that we call CANNET, which is a network which is becoming very powerful and well structured to address marine conservation issue in Cameroon. And we are also working to develop a strategic plan for the marine and coastal ecosystem. And still within the street whale, it was also the opportunity to build the capacity of the different participants in terms of blue economy, conservation of elasmobranch branch, and also the efficacy in managing marine protected areas. And we do also work a lot with schools to educate them. And these pictures was taken in Limbe. It's a collaboration with the Limbe Wildlife Centers, where every year we gather more than 2,000 students that are, to close the environmental education program. And they also receive this education program at school. But at the end, towards the end of the year, we gather them and we organize a special event to celebrate the end of the year. So we also promote alternative livelihood. So this we've been able to provide alternative livelihood to more than 500 fishermen and women in Lake Osa through training them how to make soap, for example, on this picture, or through ecotourism, training them how to do bee farming, snail farming, etc. Like this is a bungalow that we recently built in the near Lake Osa. It's a bungalow where tourists could come and enjoy the view of the lake while having some nice food. As you can see, some of our tourists enjoying the local dishes that has been cooked by the local community, by those women that we have trained, and they are now able to make some income who are cooking for the tourists. And some of the fishermen are now eco guide that guiding of tourist guide that are taking the fishermen in their local canoe and guide them through the lake, and then they're also making income. And this is how we're able to prove to them that a live manatee is worth than a dead manatee. Donc nous faisons beaucoup d'activités pour améliorer n'est-ce pas, la vie des communautés locales. Il ne s'agit pas seulement de les dire ne tuez pas le lamantin, mais de leur donner aussi des alternatives. Et parmi ces alternatives, nous avons l'écotourisme où nous avons construit un bungalow au niveau du lac Osa où des touristes peuvent venir passer du temps en mangeant de la nourriture locale préparée par ces dames qui ont été formées par AMMCO sur, n'est-ce pas, sur le tourisme et la cuisine, et qui peuvent comme ça se faire des revenus chaque fois que des touristes arrivent, de même que les pêcheurs qui servent de guide touristique avec le bateau, le pirogue, guide le touriste dans le lac et se font aussi de l'argent. Et ça permet donc de renforcer l'idée que un lamantin vivant vaut mieux qu'un lamantin mort, parce qu'à travers l'écotourisme, ils peuvent se faire des revenus de façon continuelle. So we are wrapping up already. So let me give some of the perspective of AMMCO. So I'm just going to list them very quickly since we are running out of time. So we are planning to improve the genetic research at AMMCO. So we are hoping to build a genetic lab at AMMCO starting next year so that we can gather more information on those species, because genetic is one of the way, right, you to collect scientific information on these elusive and species, without even having to touch them. And it's also going to be important to build the scientific capacity of a marine researcher in Cameroon and even within the region, and also to improve the education, sensibilization of the stakeholders, including the government, fishermen, and the private sectors in terms of marine conservation. And we're also going to reinforce the management capacity in the marine protected area, especially in the recently created marine protected area of Manyenge Nailebo Campo in Tribi, and while also working for the creation of new marine protected area in the northern coast of Cameroon, where we think that there is very important habitat there that needs protection. And we're also going to continue facilitating the synergy between the different stakeholders to ensure sustainability of our conservation action. And then we are going to continue develop also alternative to mitigate accidental captures in fishing net. We don't think that the problem is solved yet, so there's still a lot to do. How do we reduce accidental capture on sea turtle, especially on shark and rays? Are there devices that we can encourage fishermen to use that will help not to capture many shark and rays in their net? Okay, and then so as I already talked about, creating a marine protected area in the northern coast of Cameroon, but this will be in the form of OECM, or the effective measure of conservation by zone, so which is an alternative of a formal marine protected area, which usually takes a lot of time and is more top down. But with OECM, it's a bottom up, where it's been initiated. The protection, the marine protected area, has been initiated by the local community. And then we also plan to extend the Silent Citizen Science Network regionally, as I said earlier. We want to say this will be with this thanks to the support of National Geographic Society, replicate the Siren app or citizen science program in the different countries around the Gulf of Guinea who are willing to use the app to improve their science or data collection. And then very importantly, promote blue economy, because we think that this is how we're going to be able to reduce the economic vulnerability of the local community, because they need also to be taken in consideration. They are the guardian of those species, and if they are not, if they are poor, I don't think they will be able to protect those species. We can only encourage them through blue economy to generate incomes in a way that is not destructive for the environment. And finally, we want to continue now extend our fight against manatee poaching in the Cam River, which is one of the manatee poaching hotspots in Cameroon. A lot of manatee being killed there each year, and we've already working there thanks to the support of Synchronicity Earth. We're doing some amazing work there to changing the mentality, the perception of the local community towards the African manatee. So with that said, I would like to thank all our supporters. I couldn't put all the logos here, but put some of them, and thank you for your attention. Sorry if I was long, because I wanted to make sure that everybody could, either francophone or anglophone, to listen to this presentation. So with that, I will hand it back to Clinton.
Thank you very much, Aristide, for that excellent presentation. So now to the participants, or your questions are welcome. So feel free, you can either raise your hands if you want to interact vocally, or just put your question in the chat box.
don't be shy, ask questions.
Yeah, Jaina, your hand is raised.
I don't really have a question, but I just wanted to compliment all of you on the amazing work that you're all doing. I've seen parts of this work presented in different conferences and forums, but I don't think I've seen it all presented together in one place like this. And I'm just absolutely amazed by the breadth of work that you're doing and the number of communities and individuals that you are able to educate along the way and involve in your work. And yeah, a huge congratulations to all of you for all that you've achieved.
Thank you very much, Jana. And it's important to note that this achievement has also been through the support of the CCHD, the Consortium for the Conservation of Atlantic Compact Dolphin, who are supporting our cetacean conservation work, and we've been so proud of this collaboration so far. Thank you, Jana.
Any other interaction? Questions, suggestions? Okay, and as you know, we are also streaming this session on our social media pages, and we have a question from our Facebook account. The person is asking how can he or her join us. So I will say how to join AMMCO.
So to join us is not complicated. You just have to like write a letter to AMMCO info at this is the email info@ammco.org, and you could join us in different ways, or internship if you're a student, or volunteer, or you could also volunteer with AMMCO. And sometimes you don't even need to be in the team to support our work. You could even share all these conservation messages that we are posting on our Facebook. By sharing them, you are actually, like amplifying our messages so that many more people can listen to it, and also change their perception of behavior towards the aquatic megafauna. So there are really different ways that you could join, either distance or presence.
Thank you very much. I will see it. So I just typed the email address whereby you can join AMMCO, info@ammco.org. It is in the chat box.
And it's true that I answer in English. Was the person asking the question in French or English?
The person asked in French, so you can answer in French also.
Ok, oui, donc ce que je disais, c'était que donc il y a plusieurs façons de contribuer au travail que AMMCO fait. Si vous êtes étudiant, vous pouvez toujours demander le stage au niveau de AMMCO, quoique le nombre est quand même limité, puisqu'on ne peut pas prendre, on n'a qu'un certain nombre de places limitées pour les stages. Et vous pouvez aussi faire du volontariat auprès de AMMCO. Mais vous n'avez pas besoin d'être à AMMCO pour contribuer. Vous pouvez aussi contribuer même à distance à travers le partage, n'est-ce pas, des informations que nous publions sur nos réseaux sociaux. Vous pouvez amplifier ces messages-là en les partageant pour que ça puisse atteindre plus de personnes et contribuer au changement de ces personnes-là. Voilà, merci beaucoup.
D'accord, juste pour enchérir, je disais que j'ai ajouté l'adresse email par laquelle vous pouvez joindre AMMCO. C'est dans le chat box info@ammco.org. Des questions, des suggestions en français et en anglais?
Bonjour.
Bonjour.
Bonjour. Est-ce que vous m'écoutez?
Oui.
Ah d'accord. Donc je suis Jean-Marie Kenfac, je suis porteur de projet dans le domaine des médias et dans le domaine du digital également. Je voulais juste vous faire un petit retour d'expérience. Dans le cadre d'une publication à Frive, on a eu à bosser avec vous certaines de vos productions. Nous ont été proposées par votre responsable de communication. Et j'avoue que ça nous a fait un grand plaisir de travailler avec votre structure. Quand on a vu ce que vous faites pour la protection des océans, c'était assez intéressant. Donc, en interne, avec les autres associés, quand on faisait la conférence des titres, c'était unanime pratiquement qu'il fallait vous accorder un espace à la une de notre magazine. Donc, lui, il est imprimé en France et diffusé dans plusieurs pays africains. Donc là, on a envoyé à votre nom un courrier qui vous parviendra peut-être demain. Donc, c'est l'occasion pour nous de saluer ce que vous faites et voilà, on en a besoin. On en a besoin pour un environnement durable. Ça fait plaisir. Beaucoup de courage à vous.
Merci beaucoup, Jean-Marie. Ça fait vraiment plaisir d'avoir ce feedback. Et voilà, nous continuons à rester disponibles pour les médias. Et je pense que les médias sont nos partenaires privilégiés parce que c'est vraiment eux qui ont cette grosse capacité d'amplifier le message de conservation que nous émettons pour que ça puisse atteindre un maximum de personnes. Et merci également pour le travail que vous faites.
Je vous en prie. Donc, l'autre chose que je ferai, je mettrai la rédactrice en chef de la zone Afrique centrale avec vous, pourquoi pas, pour voir dans quelle mesure davantage accompagner ce que vous faites sur le terrain.
Bien sûr, ça c'est une très bonne idée. Merci beaucoup. Et je pense que le responsable de la com est connecté à cette réunion et il a pris note.
D'accord, ça marche. Ok, en tout cas, dès que le courrier vous parvient, n'hésitez pas à nous faire signe. Bonne journée et merci pour ce que vous faites.
Merci aussi.
Merci Jean-Marie pour votre contribution.
Je vous en prie. Merci.
2 minutes encore pour le retardataire, ceux qui hésitent encore à poser la question. En ligne sur Facebook, comme ici sur Zoom.
Attention, un commentaire dans le chat box de Christian qui dit I would like to address you. My congratulations for the amazing work you're doing for the marine, for mammal wildlife. Thank you, Christian.
Thank you. I think if there's no more question, we can wrap up.
Yeah, okay. So, since there's no more question, il n'y a plus de questions, nous allons clôturer la session. So, thank you everyone for being here. Thank you for having attended the inaugural session of AMMCO webinar series. Thank you very much. Merci à tous d'avoir participé à cette session inaugurale de AMMCO webinar series. Juste pour rappeler que ce webinaire se tient de façon mensuelle. Donc, vous serez notifié à travers nos pages sociales et à travers notre newsletter. Et je souhaite que vous soyez davantage plus nombreux à la prochaine édition de AMMCO Webinar Series. Donc, sur ce, merci à tous et à bientôt.
Bientôt, merci Clinton, merci à tout le monde, portez-vous bien. Bye bye.
Bye bye.